I've got the answer right here, ladies and gentlemen, to everything that ails you. Now step right up.
One who quacks like a duck about his salves and remedies. The cruel practice of making money on people's worries feared throughout the years as quackery.
I said cured of backache, nervousness,
Any number of diseases.
All right, we've been drinking beer, and Evan Williams here for a couple hours, so we're just about ready to do another episode of Quackery. This is Dr. Will the Pill here, checking in with my main man, John Boy. And welcome back to Quackery Season 2. And today, we are going to be talking about Theranos. And I labeled this one drop of bullshit. From the response when I brought this up, John Boy, it looked like he may have heard of this.
Yeah, I was following this for a while.
Did you watch the documentary? HBO
no,
documentary?
I never watched it, but I
followed
remember.
her.
Yeah, so I remember when this went down. So I do know about the story.
Okay, good.
But
All right,
I don't think she's the monster that they painted her to be.
Ooh, this would be interesting then. A good discussion. So there's a really good documentary on HBO called The Inventor, Out for Blood in Silicon Valley. It's very good. I would check it out. So it features a young lady named Elizabeth Holmes, who founded Theranos, which is which became a very big tech and medical company when she was only 19 years old back in 2003. You can check out pictures of her online. I'll post it on quackerypodcast.com. She has a very intimidating stare. A lot of people said that she just rarely blinks. She just has these huge eyes and she's sort of freaky. She's not completely unattractive, but her eyes are just huge and intense. What do you think? I mean,
Yeah.
Anyway, so she said, so if you see pictures of her, she's probably going to have a black turtleneck on, just like Steve Jobs.
Yep.
She said, like, that's why she did it. Like, what? Oh, I always want to watch Steve Jobs. I'm trying to do his voice. She does this really strange, low, really baritone female voice.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get into the turtlenecks and her voice a little bit later because I think it's interesting in the scope of her in general. She was born in 1984, only a couple years older than us, really. And she attended Stanford for 1 year before dropping out and using her tuition money as startup for her tech venture. Here's a fun fact. Her dad, Christian Ramses Holmes IV, was one of the vice presidents for Enron. I don't know if you remember Enron.
Yep.
From back in the day.
I do. They
famous energy trading company, I believe.
There's a really good book. It's called The Smartest Guys in the Room, and that's about the Enron scandal.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were trading in California electricity and causing a lot of the blackouts, actually.
Yeah, no, that Enron, that's a whole other rabbit hole to talk about, but very interesting, big scandal there.
I mean, people will put money in it. People will put money in it, and they want to blame Enron, which they were bad, but I mean, these investors just put money in it without even researching it.
And it should. So that's a foreshadowing here for this episode. Let's just
exactly. It's like, I mean, all you gotta do is take a look at their financials, and you can see they're cooking their books. But no one has done that. Everyone was just following the cult.
That's right. All right. So when she dropped out of Stanford, she called her company Real Time Cures, and her mission was to democratize medicine. So she also said she's terrified of needles, and she is really interested in getting blood tests that she can do from just a few drops of blood. So she told her professors at Stanford about that. She wanted to get vast amounts of data from a few droplets of blood derived from the tip of a finger. And one of her medical professor said, "I don't think your idea is going to work." That was her medical professor, but then she went to her advisor in the School of Engineering, and he got behind her idea. Not only that, he became her first board member when the company switched from Real-Time Cures to Theranos, which is a mashup of therapy and diagnose. So Theranos. That's in 2003. She changed that. So she started fundraising hard in 2004, and she was good at it. really good. By 2004, she had already raised $6 million. And by 2010, she'd raised $92 million. And by 2014, $400 million.
Well, this was right after the tech bubble burst, so people were just looking for somewhere to put their money.
Yeah, and this was not, this was a tech company, but it was a healthcare company. So, it had stability, and then it was healthcare, and it was, we'll get into this. So by 2014, the company was valued at $9 billion. And with Elizabeth Holmes owning half the stock, she was a billionaire. Easily, right? So what the hell did they even do with this company? So they had some different medical patents. They had a lot of medical patents. Holmes' name was on all of them, even though she may or may, how much she did on each didn't matter. She owned the company. But their real goal, like we said, was blood sample testing in a machine with the drops of blood, right? Mm-hmm. So they made this machine with all these millions of dollars, and they called it the Edison machine. And it looks like...
Which has nothing to do with...
Healthcare?
No, the Edison is electricity and light bulbs,
so
which has nothing to do...
So here's why she called it the Edison. It's because she said... Edison he said, I've not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work when he was inventing the light bulb. So they're basically saying after 10,000 failures, this is the way that works, right? Which ended up becoming
it didn't work.
Hilarious.
Hilarious.
But good name, the Edison machine. So it was a device that's supposed to automatically test for dozens of disease states and conditions all at once, just with a drop of blood. That's why they called it the Edison. It looks like a wider... desktop computer, tower, but the front is angled down. I'll put a picture on quackerypodcast.com if you want to check it out. And then it just has like a little screen that says Theranos. And the front has like almost like a cartridge. And it goes in just like a VCR cartridge would, but it's about half as wide. So how's it supposed to work? So it's supposed to take between 2 to 10 drops of blood. It didn't really, was not very clear in the patent. And the nanotainer, it was supposed to take this in the nanotainer, which is this tiny little thing that holds the blood. And I'll put the picture on quackerypodcast.com. It's like, how small do you think that is?
Yeah,
like,
so nano means minuscule, basically,
right,
and
course.
then tainer, obviously.
Container,
yeah.
That thing's small. I would say it's probably as big as like...
Kind of like a
pill.
Pill, like a size 00 pill, like... The different capsules. That's what we use.
Look at you knowing the sizes. So you pack your kratom in there.
Yeah, we do. It's cheaper.
So a size 00 pill. That's probably about right. Yeah. So most people would know that as maybe if you've ever taken maybe like a smaller fish oil capsule or like maybe what they put the fiber capsules in, like a standard size capsule. It's about that size. And it's about halfway full with blood, which is not very much blood. That's very impressive. So they would run these immunoassays, check for the presence of an antibody or antigen or whatever in blood. They could check for anything. This was ultimately supposed to do up to 240 individual tests from their testing menu. Like it was like this menu, like a menu at a restaurant, and you could just pick what you wanted, and each thing has a price next to it, like a menu at a restaurant. And so it'd be like, oh, do you want to see if there's cocaine in your blood? $10. Oh, do you want to see if your cholesterol's high? $20. Oh, do you want to see if you have AIDS? $15. You want to see if, you have cancer? $30, which, to be honest, would be, amazing.
Yeah.
This would be world changing, right? Because a drop of blood, 240 tests. You could run all the tests, $1,000, but you could pick what you wanted to test under $100, get a dozen tests, find out what you need to know. That would be amazing, right? Cheap, just prick your finger, drops of blood, boom. The machine would then link with the internet. It would send the results to the Theranos lab. They decipher the results, give you a printout of what it's supposed to mean. Whether you have chlamydia, how much, if you're low on vitamin D, whatever, you can know. But here's a interesting quote. She had all these weird things in her thing in Silicon Valley. Like here's one I'll put on quackerypodcast.com. It says, do or do not. There is no try. Yoda. And there's her sitting underneath it. Like, what? She's weird.
She was a freaking genius marketer, man.
That's what they said. So like,
this is what people want to see.
One of the investors was like, she's not normal. She's like a monk she's like a monk. She's like, she only cares about this. She's going to succeed. I know there's no other way. She won't not succeed. And that's why I put this on here. People believed in her that there was no chance that she wouldn't succeed. And here's a list of people who were on her board at some time. So Secretary of State George Shultz, William Perry, former Secretary of Defense, Henry Kissinger, former Secretary of State, Sam Nunn, former U.S. Senator, Bill Frist, former Senator, Gary Roughead, former Admiral, U.S. The Navy, retired, former Riley Bechtel, who was from the Bechtel Group, the CEO of that, David Bowies, who founded Bowies Schindler Flexner, William Foge, director of the CDC. I mean, on and on. CEO from Wells Fargo. Oh, Mad Dog Mattis. James Mattis.
Yeah.
Former, now U.S. Secretary of Defense recently. He was one of our board members. I mean, the former vice president of Amgen. You've heard of Amgen, right?
Yeah, which is weird because why would
that doesn't fit in with some of these guys, right?
No, none of this
Henry
fits
Kissinger,
in.
what the hell?
I mean, why have a Wells Fargo CEO
and a
on
Secretary
this
of
board?
Defense?
That's what I'm saying. It's just so weird.
I'm telling you, and these people have power.
I know.
A lot of power.
That's what's weird. That's why I don't think it's her. I know we'll get into this, but I don't think it's her fault because as an investor, you need to do a little bit
working.
Well, if you invest your money in something, you need to know inside and out everything about it. And if you just dive in a little bit, you can see
now,
how
I don't
BS
know. So
this
if you
is.
buy stock in a company, you're not responsible for what they do.
I know, but this
board.
product did not even
This
work.
is the board, though.
So if I was to put $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, even $100 million in this, you better believe I'm not even going to know how the machine works, but I'm going to know how it pulls the nano blood out of the whatever and how the composition of your everything works. I mean, this is a lot of money. You should as an investor.
You shouldn't trust that it just works.
Yeah, the problem is all these hedge fund managers just throw everyone else's money in it, and it's just is BS, man. Why invest in a biotech company if you are not a medical professional and you don't know what's going on? Just take them at face value. I mean, dude,
it's a business. It's a growing industry. I don't know. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? That's why I don't feel sorry for these people, man.
So then, yeah, I mean, I understand that.
I mean, I feel sorry for all the mom and pops that put money into these hedge funds.
Yeah.
That,
Well, so they said that Safeway paid $350 million to try to retrofit 800 locations with the Edison machines. Walgreens had 40 locations that were supposed to have Edison machines. Cleveland Clinic, they were partnering with Theranos testing technology to use those in their hospitals. It wasn't just that the board was so good. Like, there were people pre-ordering this stuff, paying millions of dollars to Theranos for technology they hadn't even released.
yeah.
So in comes this guy. His name is Sunny Balwani. Ramesh Sunny Balwani. And let me just say, this dude is creepy. He came in as the COO of Theranos in 2009. But let's back up the clock. He was born in 1965. Okay, we just said that Elizabeth Holmes was born in 1984. They're 19 years apart.
Oh.
But that's not that bad. But okay, so he timed his fortune right. He got money, got big on the .com bubble, got out luckily right before it burst, and so he was a multimillionaire. With, he was a little older, but he had the cash. So he went back to school because he's had money and nothing really to do. Well, he attended Cal Berkeley. He met Elizabeth Holmes when she was in high school. She was a senior. So they started they were romantically involved when she was 18 or 17 or 18 in high school. He would be 19 years older than her. He got involved with her when she was in high school at that age. I mean, what are you hanging around the playground when you're 40?
Yeah, some R. Kelly stuff. He's the R. Kelly of Silicon Valley.
Oh my God, he's so creepy. So then he went to Stanford as well at the same time that Holmes did. And he also dropped out when she did to become her COO. Later. Yeah, he became her COO in 2009. Obviously, she started in 2003. But later, he also dropped out of Stanford, and then he became her COO. So the CEO and the COO, Elizabeth Holmes and Sunny Balwani, they continued their romantic and professional relationship using all this fundraising money to do whatever the hell they wanted. Travel, vacation, I don't know if they're having sex on the Eiffel Tower. That's just I'm just thinking, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
What would you, if you had Theranos cash and what would you do with all that cash? You were
Honestly, I'd probably try to make a
setting
product
around the world.
Yeah, I would have fun, but I'd probably try to create a product that actually worked, because this could, dude, the technology, the thought of it.
If they can make it work,
would revolutionize everything. And she had
so many people.
Great chance. I mean, if it's in the realm of physics to work, somehow or the other, if it is possible, then it could change the world. You know what I'm saying? But she just squandered it, man.
So that's the question here. Did it work? It had the appearance of working. And Walgreens and Safeway were up and running with these machines. So people would come in, they'd give their drops of blood. We know the end of the story, but we even said, gosh, if you could make this work, how great would it be? Put it in every pharmacy. Put it in every damn gas station. Put it wherever. You can get you can go trick your blood, put it in this machine, $10, you can know if you have cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, that is crazy, right?
It's possible, I think. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that for a fact, but
so now I think, and we'll get into this, but I think that the fact that they tried to offer too many tests in one machine was one of their issues, because there's not enough blood to do. I mean, a couple of drops of blood, you can't be able to offer 240 tests in this machine. The miniaturization is, at least at the time, and I don't know what you can do now for that. It's not that much later, but so we'll see where that goes, right? Because you can't reuse blood from a test.
Yeah, no.
So if you use like a drop, then how many drops you have left? You know what I mean? So even, I mean, to me, even if they took, like, that's not my biggest concern, is getting blood drawn for this test. It's the
fact you can go in somewhere. I know.
Easy access and cost.
Yeah, people would give more than...
I would give more blood to get that.
People would give like half a pint of blood to get like
that's what I would
all
think.
These tests.
Right. That's what I would think.
But now
Their
they
big thing
screwed
was,
it all up, man, where like no one's going to trust it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we'll see, right? But so what happened in reality was they were not testing them with the Theranos machines because they weren't working.
Yeah.
So they were having to draw more. They were actually having to get phlebotomists in there to put that thing on your arm, draw a lot of blood, like they said they weren't going to do, send it to Theranos, where they have to do traditional lab testing, and then give the results back, just like a normal lab would, which we have now. But it's just, it's expensive and all these issues with it, right? So, and the accessibility to it. So it was only supposed to be temporary, like fake it till you make it, right? Mm-hmm. Until the Edison could do it all. But the problem with that was it started to become exposed that none of this stuff was working. So there was these Wall Street Journal articles where the machine was not even accurate when they were using it. They were not using it for a lot of the tests. One of the employees there, who was the grandson of the former Secretary of State George Shultz, Tyler, was a key witness to basically whistleblow that what was going on here. Like, all this was fake. They weren't doing what they were supposed to be, what they said they were doing. And of course, Theranos denied all of this until they came under investigation from the FDA.
Yeah.
The interesting part, though, was the first thing from the FDA was they didn't get approval from the FDA because the nanotainer, they actually didn't realize that it was a Class 2 medical device. It was its own medical device, which they had to get approval to use in the first place. So that portion of it, which they weren't really using it that much anyway, right? They were actually drawing lots of blood.
Yeah.
But like that whole nanotainer, that's like a 00 pill size, they needed to have it approved before they could use it. So that had to suspend a lot of their testing until 2015.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when it was the Wall Street Journal, like you said, that literally exposed it.
So the interesting part there, though, was that the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare withdrew their contract with Theranos in 2016 because they figured that or they knew that. They said that they were causing immediate jeopardy to patient safety because if they were giving inaccurate tests for warfarin dosing. So do you know what warfarin is?
No.
So it's like also the brand name is Coumadin. So this is an interesting drug. It actually came about because we used to use it to kill rats.
Oh, jeez.
So it was rat poison.
Yeah.
It is literally rat poison. So you gave it to rats, and it would basically cause them to bleed out because it would thin their blood so much they would die. Well, what we realized was if we control the dose, then we can use it to thin humans' blood just enough to, to be therapeutic for conditions like, so you can prevent them from having a stroke or whatever it may be. So it's very finicky. You have to get the dose correct. A lot of drugs will interact with it and cause it to change, food, all sorts of things. And you have to go in and get it tested all the time. So if you're getting an accurate test for this, it's very dangerous, right? Because your blood could be not thin enough. You could clot, or it could be way, too thin. You're just bleeding out, you brush your teeth and just blood everywhere. So that's a problem. But if you watch the documentary, one of the things that's hilarious that you'll see is, so they finally got a win from the FDA. They got approval for one of their tests, herpes simplex 1. So they infamously
oh my God.
come into this meeting in their office playing MC Hammer's "Can't Touch This."
Jesus.
Can't touch this. So they walk in playing this, and they're like, everybody's celebrating. They throw this huge party because it's basically the only one they've had.
Yeah.
They're a $9 billion evaluated company, and this is the only one they've had getting this herpes simplex 1 test approved from the FDA. That's the only thing they have. They play this "Can't Touch This." Like, are you kidding me?
Jesus, bad, dude.
So bad. So the machine did not work. It was, so they showed some videos of like how it would work inside. It was just too small. They couldn't use the drop of blood to do 240 tests. I like you said, so then they started faking the test, obviously. So in medicine, a lot of times fake it till you make it is a tough avenue. I understand in tech, fake it till you make it. And that's actually one of the things with Edison. They said that Thomas Edison, he said he had the light bulb ready to go, and he didn't actually have it invented until like 6 months later. But he got it figured out before like they needed to start selling it.
Yeah,
so
but that's
just
not
like
life and death.
right.
Yeah,
Well, this is a big difference, right? And also there, I don't know if like he had $9 billion invested or whatever it was. You know what I mean?
so
there's a lot of people, like there's a lot of money on the line. I think Edison, General Electric, it was all him. He's just doing this to.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know the whole story.
No,
with that,
it was. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But the other thing was that they really. I mean, you look at that board. I mean, Kissinger, Maddox, all these people.
Nobody
they could keep anybody quiet.
I know.
So if you wanted to speak out against it, they even said even Schultz's grandson in the documentary, they say that he called some people from the Wall Street Journal, and then his grandfather, who was the former Secretary of State, called him and said, "Hey, come over to the house." He gets there, the lawyers from Theranos are there, and they like grab him by the coat and like put him against the wall, and they're like, "You're gonna keep quiet." Like they're roughing him up, like literally, and that's your grandfather, because I mean he must have had some cash, invested in this.
Yeah,
like,
they all did.
keep
man.
quiet. You know what I mean? That's your grandson. That's pretty crazy. And I want to say, like you were saying, this does lead us to an interesting crossroads here, right? So it's coming out that it's not working like it's supposed to, but it doesn't mean they're not trying to do good, right? And like you were saying, you have all these incredibly rich and powerful board members. They're sharing no responsibility for it failing. They're not even looking under the hood of this machine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
are
they pressuring them to put it out before? I don't know. That's the whole things I don't know.
So,
dude, it's a game. I don't understand
the only
it
thing
enough.
that's bad about this to me, because I don't care if all these assholes lose their money.
No.
But the only thing is, all these hedge funds that your Ma and Pa put in their pension, programs from the government
We lost it all.
are invested in these hedge funds, which invested in this crap.
The old Holmes family doubled down on it too. They,
and then they get rich. Yeah.
They took all your money with Enron, and then they took all your money with Theranos.
I mean, It's what it is, man. Like, so, but honestly, she squandered it, man, because this could have been, if she would have just came out and been like, all right, I have all these patents. This doesn't work yet, but we are working on it and it will work. We'll make it work. That's completely different.
They should have just told people,
but they were just lying about it.
Safeway
blatantly.
and Walgreens and Cleveland Clinic just been like, we can't give you this stuff yet. It's not ready.
Yeah.
Like, we'll get it to you when we can. Like, keep your money, or we can take that as an investment and either we can pay you back or we can promise you these later. Like, it's just bad business,
Yeah, it's really bad business.
Yeah.
Especially with $1 billion company like that. I mean, like, what were they thinking? They were just going to they were just going to fly under the radar the whole time?
I know. Yeah, like, you can cover this up. Well, here's the problem. So they actually, in 2016, Elizabeth Holmes and Sunny Balwani were actually banned from operating a lab at all for 2 years. So all these tests that they were having to mail in, they weren't able to do that anymore. But then the SEC starts a criminal investigation because obviously this would be misleading investors. They're misleading government agencies or misleading regulatory boards. They actually were also found to be using this firm called Status Labs, which this is pretty sweet. We're going to hire this for quackery because they're the fixers, man. These people are the internet fixers. They're going to make everything look good. Apparently, these people will go and comb the internet for anything about Theranos or whatever you want to pay them for. They were paid tons of money for them to even adjust Wikipedia articles, adjust anything.
Yeah.
Go in there and fix the internet to make it look like everything was good. That's wild that there's a firm that does that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised, but
There's probably plenty of firms that do that.
that's crazy, right? I mean, that is like...
And that's the same problem with this, man.
That's
like,
corporate deception, but...
It's the same thing. Like, people take things off face value. They don't look into things.
Mm-hmm.
They see, you know why people invested in it? Because it was a $9 billion company, and people want to run with the herd.
It wasn't initially a $9 billion company.
but everyone's like, oh my
but
God, these...
Well, here's the other reason is...
All these
so they
people
said,
are putting money in it. Like,
so they'd say, like, people who work there would come to her with, like, a problem and be like, we can't fit 240 tests in here. And they would come to her with that problem, and she would flip it, and the meeting would end up being about, what we're going to call this piece of technology now that is, that they've now patented, and it's, now we're going to call this the, whatever piece, and that's going to be great. This is all going to be great. And they would have a discussion on what the name should be for 4 hours, and never talk about the fact that the guy who came into the meeting said, this can't fit. They would say, like, well, if you think it can't be done, then you shouldn't belong to this company. Now, I understand
that's so stupid.
I understand that you want people who have a can-do attitude, but you also need people to be realistic of making something happen. Okay?
Yeah, the
'Cause
technology's
you can't
not there,
always
yeah.
if I just want to say, I think I should be able to walk through walls. Well, if you don't believe that you can do it, then you shouldn't be part of this company. I mean, the technology might not be there
ridiculous, yeah.
yet.
That's
It could be
ridiculous.
impossible at this point in time.
See, I mean, if they would have stuck to like HIV testing only, like, or something small,
Or if they could
2
say,
drops of blood,
Yeah.
and we can tell, you can walk into Walgreens or CVS, and we can tell you if you had HIV.
yeah.
And then eventually,
Boom, maybe
here's
add
more
2
stuff
tests.
coming, chlamydia,
Hey,
all
maybe
this stuff.
then the
But dude,
Edison 2.0. Hey,
Yeah.
we check for HIV and we check for hepatitis.
But now it's just
Boom.
like, I mean, because they could have used this for COVID
I do
too,
think
man.
and I actually saw there's a company that said they're trying to do this. They're like, it's just like Theranos, but real.
Yeah,
They're like, we're trying to come
dude,
up with it,
but
but
it's
but
already-
now no one's going to believe it
That's
until
what I'm
it
saying.
happens.
It's already
tainted.
Yeah, she
It
tainted
poisoned the well.
it. Exactly.
Yeah,
And no big investor's going to put money in it, which means the company's going to struggle.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. No,
Plus,
yeah.
they probably can't even. This company still has these patents,
Uh-huh.
even though it's defunct.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're going to try to go through this minefield of patents.
Did it exist still?
Yeah, it's like
So
ridiculous.
so basically at that point though,
This story-
in 2016,
this story, man, dude,
it's frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's.
Yeah. So in 2016, it starts to unravel. Every person who gave money or took or got whatever it is, paid money or don't every person started suing them, and also they one year they lied to investors. They said they made $100 million profit when it was actually a $100,000 profit. That's a pretty big difference. That's not a rounding error. So that's lying to the investor. That's lying to the stockholders. That is fraud. They were also charged with wire fraud. So then in 2018, they sent an email to all the investors that they were going to cease operations and release assets and remaining cash to creditors after efforts to find a buyer came to nothing. And then trial for... so what's interesting here...
They were trying to sell it?
Yeah, they tried to sell it. No one bought it.
Well, are they even... Would they even be allowed to sell it?
So it still had... It still had things other than the Edison. They would be able... So, I mean, you would probably have to...
Sell their patents
You
and
would...
stuff.
The patents. They had other patents. But you would also probably have to assume some issues. So probably no one wanted that, right? So actually, here's what's interesting. Their trial for Elizabeth Holmes and Sonny Balwani was scheduled for June 2020, but they got it postponed because of COVID-19.
I thought that
had already been done, but yeah, that's how long this shit takes. That's how long
You don't hear
this
about
takes.
this stuff anymore.
I know. Here's another cool thing. So there was a book called Bad Blood by the guy who started the full thing, that John Carreyrou or whatever his name is. And actually, they were going to film it this year. Jennifer Lawrence was going to star as Elizabeth Holmes, but I couldn't find anything else about the production of it because of COVID-19. So hopefully they're going to make it, because I think she would be awesome. J-Law as old Elizabeth Holmes would be pretty awesome. But this was a pretty crazy story. This is just a really fast sort of run through on it, what happened, and what I was going to say about Elizabeth Holmes. What's interesting is, so how she said that she only wore turtlenecks. So her mom came out and said, "Oh yeah, we've been dressing her in those since she was a child because she always loved Bill Gates." And then, I mean, not Bill Gates, sorry, Steve Jobs, excuse me. So she loved Steve Jobs. Well, then it turned out someone who worked with her at Theranos was like, no, like she didn't even know that Jobs wore those until I showed her like these videos of him, and she was like, "Oh, I love that." And she started wearing them in like 2003. And they're like, that's such a bullshit, like that she would lie about that. And then, so if you watch the documentary, it'll be like, "Hey, my name is Elizabeth Holmes, and this is Theranos." Like, she talks like she keeps her voice low, like artificially. And people said that like when they were around her normally, her voice was just like a normal woman's voice, like the correct pitch and everything. They said she just did that to sound like, I don't know, more legitimate, or that's weird, right?
Yeah,
I think that's weird.
Yeah.
And then they interviewed her parents, and they're like, "Oh no, she's always had a nice baritone voice." Like, what?
It's sad, man, because
Her parents seem weird.
Done a lot, but
yeah. And I mean, it's not that she wasn't smart, and it's not that she didn't have a great idea.
Yeah, somebody will figure it out.
And there's all these videos you can look up of her just talking about this, like, my uncle had this cancer, and then I wish I would have had more time if we could have done this. And she says the story over and over and over, and it's just like it's playing to these investors. She was able to get all this money. She just was good at getting investors, man. She was a good fundraiser for sure.
Just like, I mean, even like Elon Musk, man. I mean, he's a brilliant dude,
he's
but
good at it.
He's a great fundraiser.
Yeah, he is.
He's a great cheerleader.
Well, you can't.
But
I mean, it's hard to get anything done without cash. Though.
I get it, but like, dude, come on, man. There's got to be a point where your company's
honestly, what has Elon done for humanity significant?
Nothing.
They even say, well, and this is debatable because obviously I heard Alex Jones say this, and he's a conspiracy theorist, but he was saying that
he has done SpaceX.
Ultimately, what has that done?
I mean,
we'll see. I don't think he's a terrible guy.
I don't think he's terrible either, but like his companies are not.
What has he done? Yeah, it's significant, right?
I mean, $800 for a Tesla stock? Are you high?
Yeah.
Like you want to be there when it falls because you think it's going to keep going up. Dude,
how much
that
is
bubble will burst.
How much is
It ain't worth that much, man.
How much is Berkshire Hathaway running?
Exactly.
How much does it cost?
Well, that's different. Well, Berkshire Hathaway actually makes a ton of money.
Yeah.
They own Geico, and they own, I don't know, American Express, like everything.
I know, but I was saying, like, you want to look at a stock that's expensive.
Yeah, and plus they don't have that many
or
shares.
whatever.
Yeah, it's like $400,000. But you could buy their Class B shares for like $200. Mm-hmm. It's like think it's like 33% diluted or something like
Or
that.
100% or something like that.
I don't know what it is.
100 times a dilute or something. Anyway, yeah, no, and I mean, but they were saying is like, hey, Tesla, they're like, you buy a Tesla. I mean, do you know if it's really helping the environment that much? Because I mean, you're having to get electricity from somewhere.
Exactly. There's no such thing as a free lunch.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I mean, you plug that thing in, the electricity is coming from either nuclear, coal, solar, wind, or hydro. That's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and the solar is the only thing we don't really pay for, but the solar is so inefficient. You know, you can't solar. I mean, it's not inefficient. We just haven't figured out how to harness it correctly yet.
And there's also, I mean, there is a problem with square footage
and stuff, but
there's a problem with square footage. I mean, you know, you can only, I mean, there is a maximum amount of energy that's going to hit a certain space. I mean, you can't get more energy that's coming from the sun in that space. You can get 100%, but even, I mean, how much is it worth it to go from whatever I don't know, we are, even if we're 50% or 75 or whatever we are, like to get it to 100.
Oh, it's a lot less than
how
that.
much, you know, you know, how much is that going to really provide you? Now, if you can get it, I mean, I don't know what we are at, but anyway, that's an interesting thought with that. And
people
you know,
just don't look at face value, man. They just want to be part of the herd. And, you know, that's the same thing, like the bubble bursts eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, look at this.
Got to be there when the bubble bursts, man. You got to, there's always money to be made, my friend.
I mean,
things are, man, when things are moving up or down, there's always money being made.
Yeah, that's true.
I just never am smart enough to make it. Or I have cash on hand.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, this is crazy. It's very crazy because it was, I mean, all the big powerful people believed that she was the next thing and that this was gonna be so great. I mean, she started this when she was 19. She's on all these videos you can watch. There's one where Bill Clinton's like, how old were you when you started this company? And she's like 19. And she's just like, starts nodding like, yeah, I'm the shit.
Yeah, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, so
That's
who
the
cares?
problem.
I don't care if you're 5 when you started
I could start a
it.
flying car company when I'm 5. It doesn't mean like it's going to work. You got to actually
But are you
know
able to fundraise $400 million?
if I'm blonde and hot. Yeah, probably.
I mean, that's how blonde. I mean, she is blonde, but how hot she is debatable. I don't know.
I mean,
but she can speak with confidence, and you can get a couple people in your corner. You can get the ball rolling.
If you get the big guys,
you really can.
Yeah.
I mean, you really can. She's not ugly, okay, either. So
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's Theranos. Very interesting. Go check out the documentary on HBO. It's really cool. It's very entertaining. But if this episode really quacked you up, you want to support the crew, head on over to quackerypodcast.com/join, become an official quackhead. If you have an idea for a topic you want us to cover, let us know. Make sure and hit that subscribe button. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check out all the pictures from the show on quackerypodcast.com. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It makes a huge difference. Tell your friends. And as always, keep calm, quack on.